Last weekend, my friends and I went to one of the great wonders of the world, also known as Toronto, Canada.
The most disappointing place on earth.
A city not only surrounded by drug abuse, but also a city filled with asshole cyclists and that one tower from the Drake album. Within 1 hour in the city, my friends and I came across a few people sitting at a curb doing what I assumed to be heroin. Within 20 yards of them was a cop at an intersection, and within 3 yards of them, more asshole cyclists rode by. Each one riding by like the syringes being injected into these people's skin didn't even exist. Tourists walked by quickly, attempting not to acknowledge the humans dying in front of them, and they redirected their kids to look at the big stadium ahead. People refused to bat an eye on something that served no purpose in a city forever producing for tourists to consume. After seeing this happen in front of me during my trip to Toronto, I couldn't help but think about one thing. Is productivity our purpose?
You told me you were going to do it, but I never heard it.
Whether you decide to blame capitalism, Adam and Eve, or some other all-power, we as a society have decided what we deem as useless and what we deem as useful. And it boils down to what these things can produce for us. We degrade the
Half-living humans
that lay on the curbs of Toronto for being addicts, but we worship celebrities that do
lines of coke
before going on stage. And as long as they put in a good show and keep us entertained, we will continue to praise them. We fire humans and replace them with machinery for the sake of efficiency, and we see the people dying in the street as an eyesore rather than human beings. And I believe we do this because it's easier. It's easier for us to ignore the bad when we focus on progress. It's easier to ignore the previous employees you laid off when your bank account begins to grow. And no matter how many family dinners we miss, or how many promises we break, or how many relationships we drift from, as long as we make progress, that's all that matters. As humans, we seem to always find a way to optimize our lives for the most
rapid results.
the most productive and gratifying life. In the book Homebody by Rupi Kaur, she says, "Isn't the dream that I have a mother to call and a table to eat breakfast at? Instead, I'm lost in the
Sick need
to optimize every hour of my day. So I'm improving in some way, making money in some way, advancing my career in some way, because that's what it takes to be successful, right?" I think goal setting is important. I think to do things for yourself out of love is important. But I find that when I begin to forget that I am more than what I can produce or what I can do, I start to lose a grip of who I truly am. When we base our self-esteem off of productivity in a society that tries to force you into thinking your worth comes from your ability to produce, I believe that it's easy for us to get stuck in low places and to believe that we are simply burdens in society full of successors. There's a chance I contradict myself when I say this, but I do genuinely believe productivity is important. I love to make progress, and for a while I struggled with thoughts of guilt when I wasn't using all my time to accomplish my goals. But what I slowly realized is just like we as a whole society ridicule the addicts laying on our streets for not living up to the standard of usefulness we place upon them, we also do the same to ourselves. We chase productivity for the sake of competing, the sake of living up to a standard, making six figures, and to get there, we're willing to forget everything along the way, especially
our morals and love.
I believe we do this out of fear of not making progress, fear of not accomplishing, fear of falling behind. But what we should fear is what happens when we obsess over productivity. I believe that when you obsess over productivity, you lose your purpose, you lose your lifeline, you lose the want and the reason to make progress at all. Toronto, much like many modern day cities, is a city rotting from the inside out. It's filled with billboards, empty buildings, and disappointing tourist attractions built to distract you from the
Rot eating the city alive.
A bit after the industrial age during the 70s, Toronto was labeled as dirty, a city not even worth visiting, that was covered in dust from the endless labor and the soot that rested in the city's air. The city of Toronto lost sight of what it was. It chased industrialization and modern day technology and forced itself to produce as much as possible, regardless of the damage it did on the community, the culture, and the workers. Toronto forgot about what was important. It was consumed by greed and the constant want to make progress. Toronto lost its love, it lost its culture, and it lost its community. Toronto now hangs by a rope, hoping that it can bring back the love the city once had. What I was able to learn during my quick trip to Toronto was that we need productivity in order to prosper. We need to grow, and we need to evolve. But when you lose balance, When you begin to tip too deep into the side of optimization and obsession, you end up sacrificing the soul that gave you the heart to produce in the first place. You begin to believe that your purpose lies in nothing more than productivity.
Don't always pick up when you fall. You only want me around just to break your fall. I'm leaving.
Alright, watch this, you guys, watch this.
Lies in nothing more than productivity.